Hey everybody, it's me again, and this time I'm at the church. There's some pretty cute boys here behind me, you can't really see them. The angle's a bit weird because I still can't get into the church, and apparently the lady down there doesn't actually have the key. It's up a hill over there, and it's a very steep climb, and I just didn't feel like it, and it's hot, and in how much time, 40 minutes, I'm gonna go swimming with my little sister in a rice field over there, so I didn't really have the time for that. So anyway, let's get going. Up till now I've usually written reviews, but now the book I want to talk about, I don't know whether I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Les Misérables. I'm sorry, my pronunciation is horrible. Both the book and the movie are just so good that I just didn't feel like writing an objective review, about them, discussing the good and bad points, because there's just so many good points, the bad points don't really matter, honestly. So, first, some general information about, the book and the movie. The book, I don't even remember when it was written, but a long time ago, by a man called Victor Hugo, and he also wrote The Hunchback of the Notre Dame. And the book is set in the second half of the 19th century, so it starts somewhere in the 1860s, I think, and I don't really remember when it ends, but a whole time later. And basically the French Revolution, which was somewhere in the 1790s, they killed the king, and then he died, and then they got Robespierre, who sucked too, because, he got all dictator, I don't even know what I was gonna say. Anyway, he got all bad, and I think in the meantime we even got Napoleon, and then Napoleon got killed, because that's what the book talks about, but I have no idea because my timelines are messed up. Anyway, where we are right now, there's a new king, and he's just as bad as the other one. And there's still poverty and everything, and in the midst of this, there's an ex-convict named Jean Valjean, and he's just trying to live his life while avoiding to get caught by the police because he broke his parole one time. So, what I was going to talk about is, I absolutely love the book and the movie, which was made in 2012. Actually, the movie was based on lots of theater productions, which I don't even know who wrote those, but they're great. So, I'm going to be talking about the book and the movie, because I didn't see the theater productions. So, let's get into it. These are, I don't even remember how many, I think six good reasons that these books are great. First off, they're pretty hilarious, and I know this sounds weird because they were written so long ago, and especially since Les Misérables is kind of known to be, a bit more on the serious side, so you do have to dig a little deeper to find it, but it is there. One good example is Marius's entire love life. It is a disaster. It is one big joke. One chapter is literally titled, Marius gets some common sense and tries to get into contact with Cosette, which is the girl he's in love with. So, I'm not sure about that title, actually, because the book is it's literally called The Brick, the book by some of the fans, because it's the size of a small brick, with small lettering. So, I'm not going to look up that chapter, I just know it's there. And if the chapter title is a bit different, then so be it. Anyway, and in the movie it's a lot easier to see, although it's still mostly in the actions' faces and their actions, not really in the words they're saying. Some good examples are, there's one character, Javert, who keeps on being really confused every single time somebody is merciful, and there's another character who's just basically annoyed by everyone around him, and then, basically, we've got the Thénardiers, who, sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrongly, anybody who knows how to pronounce French, I do not. So yeah, basically, there's a lot of fun stuff in here, and it is harder to see. Because it's a book about people dying. So, but if you dig deep, you can find it. There's actually lots of fun and stuff here, and if you want, you can look up on the internet, where lots of other people are pointing out all these funny things, and it's quite enjoyable, actually. If you get into the right mindset, a lot of the things that happen are just so absurd or so dumb that you're just like, okay, the only way to take that well is to take it as if it's funny. Secondly, number 2, the plot. It is a piece of art. It's just great. It's beautiful. Honestly. For example, there are minor characters that pop up somewhere, and they're really small minor characters. Sometimes they don't even really matter in the grand scheme of things. And then, literally half the book later, these minor characters pop up again, and I wouldn't even have noticed if I hadn't read somebody else's commentary on it. So, he could have just made up a completely different name, but he decided to write. Oh, there's some people over there, which is extremely awkward. Yeah, Kuri. Anyway, so basically, so if you, oh, I hope he's not gonna pop up. Oh my goodness, this is, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I wish I. Anyway, so basically, he didn't have to do this. He could have made up some other minor character, but he chose to just, remember these characters and place them further on. Another thing, you know that thing in a book when the writer seems, and there's another guy, when a writer seems to have, written themselves into a corner, and you're like, how on earth are they ever going to get out of this? And, well, if the writer managed to get out of that in a good way, you've got a good writer. Well, Victor Hugo does that so many times in the books that you're just wondering, how on earth are they even going to survive this? And they do. They do, in a smart way. Sometimes people get out their heroes in such a way you're like, yeah, of course you did. But he actually does it in a way that seems logical. Another thing I really like is how character stories come together. The chance meetings, yes, there's quite a lot of them for how big France is. But still, these chance meetings all sound logical, They seem like they could happen in real life. And then all the storylines come together to barricade. And the movie actually shows this really well in the song One Day More and the stuff that happens after. How every single character has had a completely different life, but still somehow ends up at that barricade. Because, there's gonna be an attempted revolution, in case you didn't know. I did not know this in the book, so it came out of nowhere for me, because I wasn't paying any attention to any of the political talk. So then when they actually started building a barricade and started killing people, I was kind of confused. So anyway, there's another person. Okay, 6 people behind me now, and this is getting awkward. Okay, thank goodness. They don't understand what I'm saying. Anyway, so that is really cool. They all come together, and like I said in the movie, there's this song called One Day More, and you see how all their different storylines still somehow manage to get together. And it's clear that Victor Hugo came from a time when books were, supposed to be big and really important. Those things you could put up on your mantle, whatever, and be proud of. And you can really see that he really put a lot of effort into this. The third thing, the symbolism. Now, I like symbolism. I really love symbolism in books and movies. The thing is, I'm horrible at seeing them. I just can't. I just read something 10 times over, and still I won't be able to see it. But that's why the internet has been such a blessing for me, because then suddenly I'll be able to see all these really cool things I never would have figured out otherwise. So the next one, I actually found out for myself. You may congratulate me. Thank you very much. Yes. So the next one, there's 2 characters. The main character that I want to talk about. The main character is Jean Valjean, and the other character is Javert. And they're basically a portrayal of, well, at least Javert, that sounds like Jafar. Javert is a personification of the law, the way you find it in the Bible, He even says to himself, I am the law, and the law is not mocked. So basically he believes in righteousness. Fair enough. But he also doesn't believe in forgiveness. He believes in righteousness, whatever the case. Whatever you do after you did the bad thing, you're just gonna have to get your punishment. He thinks mercy is a mockery of the law, and his motto is actually those that falter and those who fall shall pay the price, which he actually sings shortly after standing before the cross of Jesus, which is kind of ironic. A lot of this is very biblical, what he says about people having to pay the price for their bad actions. But he forgets one big thing, God's grace. And that is what the next character, Jean Valjean, he does realize. He agrees on all the righteousness and stuff, and that you have to do good, and that if you did something wrong, you're probably going to get a punishment. But he also believes in forgiveness. And he himself is, there's another dude, I'm getting so embarrassed. He himself is forgiven way at the beginning of the movie. And afterwards he lives his life like that, He rather tends to forgive people, and he remembers basically very important events that changed all of history. Jesus Christ's sacrifice, something that Javert, he obviously remembers it because he professes to be Christian, but he doesn't really get what it means. So whereas Javert is just harsh and strict and the law, Valjean prefers to forgive people and show them love. And even when the police is breathing down his neck, even if they did nothing to deserve it, he will help other people. And I think that's a good portrayal of the difference between, the law, as Paul writes about it, and Jesus' sacrifice. everybody is gone. Yes! I was so... I'm sorry. I was just really embarrassed. And the light is bad. Now my screen is wrong. Anyway, the light is still bad. Sorry. I really want to lock myself in the church, but... it's closed. Anyway, number 4, the message of love and forgiveness. Well, I already touched on this in the last part, so the forgiveness part kind of speaks for itself. But love is a very important part of the whole story. I think you can summarize the whole point of the movie with the line, to love another person is to see the face of God. And there isn't just one kind of love either, you know? Because love, we immediately think of romantic love. But in this movie, there's charity, forgiveness. I've got a list. I'm gonna have to check the list, sorry. Yes, romance, mercy, compassion, forgiveness, brotherhood, sacrifice, friendship, and caring. Love is such an important... Love is such an important part of this... this story. It runs throughout the entire thing. Without love, none of the things that happen in the story would have been possible. The music. This, of course, only counts for the movie. I love how various melodies are repeated throughout the movie to emphasize different themes, and I am really impressed by just the music, because the entire thing, almost the entire thing is sung. It's an operetta, I think is what you call it, which means that nearly everything is sung except a few lines, and in the beginning it's a bit to get used to, but after a while I stopped noticing it. But what I'm so impressed of is that he actually, whoever made the theater production in the beginning, they actually managed to firstly fit a lot of different lines into the same melody, and to actually get most of the story into the movie. Most of the book story into the movie without... So basically, it's rather the same. I'm really impressed by it, and I couldn't even write one song with it without it sounding awful. I tried. But, yeah, it's really... There's so much talent in that movie, even. If you see the credits, there's carpenters, plasterers... I'm just so impressed by all the work they put in there, and, you know, the music is the part that's most obvious, you know, of the big orchestra and that kind of thing, but it's all so great. Point 6, the attention to detail. Les Misérables is known for its diversions, rabbit trails. There are whole parts of the story that are devoted to describing events, or places that doesn't really need to be described like that for the story to make sense, you know. I don't really need to know exactly all about the battle at Waterloo or Waterloo to get the story, but like I said, books like that were supposed to be big things. And the nice thing is, a lot of modern translations skip the chapters that are unnecessary and stick them in the end of the book. So that way, if you're interested, you can learn so much from them, honestly. But if you don't, you can just skip them. So, but even in the parts that are important, there's an immense amount of detail regarding customs, clothing, money, and all that kind of thing. And on the one hand, this is massively boring if you don't want to read it. On the other hand, it really made me appreciate all the hard work the author put into this book, and it did make the story come alive in lots of ways, you know, that you know more about the characters. So that was it. I really have to hurry up with 2 minutes left of battery. This was a nice list of 6 perfectly valid reasons to watch something uplifting for a change, because have you seen what is on Netflix, you guys? Why do you guys pay for that? There's only... most of it on there is trash. Anyway, if you're gonna watch the movie though, here's a warning. Keep the siblings out of the way. This movie is rated PG because of violence, blood, and prostitution, and all such other things. They are given the label wrong, but still, it's not the greatest thing to show your siblings or some little kids. Other than that, both the book and the movie are masterpieces that have Christian messages to boot. So I really would check that out if I were you. I'm going to finish this right now because the battery is dying. See you guys next video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'm not good at ending things. Bye!
You ever want to talk about your emotions, Tian?
No. I do.
I know, David.
I'm sad.
I know, David. Run.
Now hold your fire. Hold your fire.
Front back, Neil!
Save your gunpowder.
Take aim!
Get down.
Who's there?
Girl, don't do it. It's not worth it. I'm not gonna do it, girl. I was just thinking about it. I'm not gonna do it.
French Revolution!
I did it.
But you did this for what?
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
Why though?